Welcome back, friends of the pod. Today we have a special guest, Lewis Burik, co-founder DubClub. Lewis hails from Chicago, played football with me at Stanford, and is a passionate Cubs fan. He has the best nickname on planet Earth, which we'll get into, and is getting married this summer. To a girl. Hi, Reese, we love you. Lewis, we always start the pod with a deep question to break the ice. Do you believe in soulmates?
Ooh, that's a really deep question. Sure, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like with you getting married, you can't really say no. And obviously, Reese is your soulmate too, so...
Yes, definitely. Yes, strong
yes. Good answer, samesies. So, can you introduce yourself to the pod for those who might not know you?
You did a pretty good job yourself, Conrad. I mean, that was a hell of an introduction.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I think the only thing I was missing was your bench press, which is what, like 450 now?
It was not very good. It's still not very good. I was more of a front squat guy.
Yeah.
Now I don't really lift weights at all.
Dang. Dude, you know what we need is one of those like Russian ab things. You like put them on the abs and it like vibrates and then you just like get abs.
There's so much cool, fun workout equipment that I don't use. So yeah, there's a lot of opportunities, I think, for us to like get into that realm of content as well.
Yeah. Dude, did you ever do the like treadmills where you're walking at your desk?
No, never got into it. I have a foot heater under my desk because my feet get really cold when I work. That's not really exercise. It's more like sitting down optimization. But that's what I spend a lot of my time doing these days, sitting down.
No, I mean that's smart. Optimize to grow DubClub. So let's take it from the top, dude. Growing up in Chicago,
yes.
What were you like as a kid? Any memorable childhood stories from Chicago that shaped you?
I'll tell you the first story that came into my head. It really doesn't have anything to do with Chicago at all. It kind of does. I didn't really know how to ride a bike. Grew up in a big city, busy, didn't ever really do it. I would walk places. My parents would drive me. I got into the public transit game at an early age, but biking was like never a thing for me. So I didn't really know how to ride a bike. That was something that was a real learning curve for me at Stanford, kind of when we met. But my buddy, Miles Baker, had a house in Michigan. He had like a lake house. And his dad, like, took it upon himself to teach me how to ride a bike. I was like 12 years old at the time, like embarrassingly old to not know how to ride a bike. And he basically brought me to the top of a hill and pushed me down it on this bicycle. And I really had no idea what was going on. And by some like stroke of, I don't know what the opposite of luck is, there was like a USPS truck going up the hill at that point in time. So I freaked out and like swerved off the road and went face first into a mailbox and kind of been traumatized ever since. But that's not really about growing up in Chicago. It's kind of like an offshoot of growing up in Chicago, but I think it gives you a little bit of a window into what I was like as a kid. Kind of clumsy, kind of down to try new stuff. I got up, brushed my face off and had a great trip in Michigan. So I don't know if that answers your question or not.
Well, it does. What gang affiliation did you have?
I can't divulge that on the pod. Just don't know who's listening. Big Brother these days is out of control.
That's super fair. They'll probably come and take over DubClub HQ Chicago.
Yeah, got to protect shareholder interests.
Exactly. So then you come out to Palo Alto, Chi-Town to sunny Palo Alto. How was that transition? And dude, how's football at Stanford?
It was good. I talked to another former colleague teammate of mine about this exactly. I really enjoyed playing football at Stanford. I think unlike most people on the team, or most people just doing anything, I actually really enjoyed it, especially at the start where it was like, whoa, the high school I played at was not very good at football. I always loved football. So to be at a place where it was so important, it was so like professionally done. There were all these smart coaches, all these great players. It was very cool for me. So I really enjoyed it. And I don't think I would have fit in at Stanford if I didn't have the football team and that routine. So I had a blast. I think as you get older and like more beat up physically, it becomes a little less fun. But, when I was a freshman waddling to camp for the first few weeks and this cool kid Conrad welcomed me to the gang, I had a blast.
Yeah. No, I like that. Do you have a favorite game or mem or day party?
I didn't play in a lot of games, so I don't know that I have a favorite game in particular. Favorite day party, any Linner.
Yeah, TBT.
Good old days.
Do you think that now that we're old men, do you think we'll
Speak for
ever be at a
yourself.
party? Do you think that we'll ever be at a party like those college parties again? I would say your wedding, I would put that probably up there.
You'll judge for
Do you think
yourself this summer.
Yeah, I will. Maybe we'll do a live pod at your wedding.
That would be perfect. I think Reese would love that.
I think she'd love it. Be like, hey, we'll get the live reaction. Like, hey, Lewis just said his vows. Like, what's going through your mind right now? What'd you rate it out of 10?
I think that's a great idea.
I think she would love it. Dude, okay, so finish at Stanford, then what? Straight back to Chi-Town?
I spent 2 years in San Francisco. I was doing tech, investment banking for a firm called Rothschild, and quickly realized I didn't really want to do that for very long.
Yeah.
So
Dude, really quick, for people who don't know what investment banking is, what the heck do you even do?
Yeah, it's basically what a real estate broker does for houses, an investment banker does for companies. Obviously, I wasn't the one like schmoozing the CEOs. You're doing more of the grunt work behind the scenes when you're 22 and one of like quite a few people on the team. But I think the gist of it is somebody wants to sell their company or they want to buy a company, they hire an advisor to help them pull that off. It's a complicated process that most people don't do very often. So having an advisor run the process is really helpful.
Yeah. Sounds very lucrative. I know that's the sell side, right? And then everyone wants to get into the buy side, private equity. And so you got into the investing side. You lived the dream there.
So I went from the sell side, advising the companies that are selling, to the investing side. The firm I moved to was in Chicago. It was very early stage, so I don't know how glamorous it was. I took a big pay cut to do it, so it definitely, I don't know if it was like a...
Don't worry, we'll cut that.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Don't worry, I took another pay cut to start my own company, so that's just like, my life is just a series of pay cuts from 22 onwards. But I knew I didn't want to do banking forever. I knew I didn't want to live in San Francisco forever. Wanted to get back home to Chicago. Found an awesome opportunity at a venture fund. I knew I wanted to start my own company at some point in time. So I figured, what better next step than investing in a lot of really young companies, figuring out what investors care about, what a great seed stage company looks like, what a great seed stage founder behaves like. So I did that full time for like 3 months before we launched DubClub. And then after we launched DubClub, I stayed at the firm for another 9 months or so, DubClub as a passion project on the side.
Right.
And at a certain point, DubClub became more interesting and required more of my brain than TechNexus. And I quit the day job and did the entrepreneur thing full time.
Totally. And companies, we love them young. And so you said you didn't want to live in San Francisco. Why would you want to leave San Francisco? I can't think of one reason.
Yeah, I know. It's shocking. I think I was the only one to ever leave San Francisco in like the post-COVID era.
Yeah, I can't. Dude, I remember I lived with you in SF.
You were a big part of the reason why I made it as far as I did, because you were kind of the glue guy of our whole neighborhood friend group. I can't imagine what my experience would have been like if you didn't live around the block, actually.
I appreciate that, man. That was my phase pre-business school. We lived right next to Balboa Cafe in the Marina, and literally all we did every Friday, Saturday was figure out how many girls can we get into our apartment for parties. Just like, it was just a full quantity game. And we would like walk around and just be like, hey, do you want to come to our roof to drink beers? And SF would be like cloudy and 30 degrees and windy, and we'd be like, come on our roof. Come on, please.
That was a period. It was a chapter. I don't know what the Marina would have been like in a Conradless world. I'm glad I never had to experience it.
No, I appreciate that, man. But COVID was tough in SF. And then I was there for a couple months, and then I went down to Stanford Business School. But I remember,
humble brag,
I would go on runs and people would yell at me because I didn't have a mask on when I was running in the middle of the street in the Marina with no one within, 100 yards of me.
Smart.
Yeah. Well, you just got to trust the science. But so DubClub, so you start it with Gart and Dash.
Yes.
Two legends.
Yes. Stole the words out of my mouth.
How was the what was like the spark? What was the very start of it?
The life spark for a company.
Yes. Shout out LifeSpark.
Plug. Like and subscribe.
Plug.
Buy today.
LifeSpark.bio. Sperm.
Very topical right now. It's on the All In
Very
podcast
topical.
today. Sperm is hot right now. It was Dash. All credit goes to Dash. Class of 20. No, fun fact, Dash, college dropout. Still has not finished his Stanford degree. Yes. Fun fact.
Jesus.
Use that at
I
your
might have to
trivia
text
this
his
weekend.
parents.
Yeah, you should.
Like, what the heck is going on with your son?
No startup is complete without a college dropout.
True.
Not all of us, got to go to Stanford to get our MBA.
True.
Dash
We'll talk
called
about
me
the
up.
story in a second.
Dash called me up. He was getting into sports betting. It was COVID. He was in the minors for the Orioles at the time. So he was getting into non-baseball related sports betting and getting his ass kicked, as most people do sports betting, just losing a bunch of money. He found a bunch of people on Twitter, primarily, who were actually really good at sports betting, but was having a very hard time basically getting their advice and making his own bets based on their advice, because sports betting markets are very fast moving. They're very dynamic. Games start, they end. The lines move a lot. So something that's a good bet at 9 a.m. is a bad bet at 2 p.m. So Twitter was just like not working for him. It's a very noisy notification world. So he was like, well, there's got to be a better way for us to clean this up and provide a more specific and like focused way to get this content. So we said, okay, let's try to build it. And as part of that journey, we got really obsessed with the content creator too. Now we call them CEO partners. Back in the day, they were just sports cappers, because they were
cappers.
Running their business, collecting payments on like Venmo, PayPal, Cash App, pushing out their plays in some private Twitter group, and managing access out of a spreadsheet. So it was a disaster for them. And along the way, we've gotten pretty good at matching the two sides of the market. On one side, you've got the content creator who's trying to build an awesome business online. On the other side, you've got the consumer who's trying to have fun, win more with someone who knows what they're doing when they're doing their sports betting. So that's the 60-second pitch. It's late, so I don't know how good it was.
It was good.
I'll let the
Invest.
audience decide.
I'm gonna put up the invest meme where the guy's like, invest, you know what I mean?
Possibly
we'll put
you.
that up. And just not from a DubClub perspective, but just can you explain to us most simple way, how does a sports book actually make money, right? Because from the outside in, you would think, oh, a sports book is losing money because you're about this guy hitting this insane parlay and making $100,000.
Good question. Let's use the simplest example possible.
Yep, we love simple.
And it's not even that simple. I'll give you the even simpler answer, and then we'll do one level more complicated.
Love it.
How do sportsbooks make money? People lose more than they win, period. And if people are really good and they win consistently, the sportsbook will just cut them off. It's called being limited. So it's really hard if you're like an excellent sports bettor, of which there are many, to actually make a bunch of money, because sportsbooks will cut you off, or they'll say you can only bet $5 on your bet. That's your max.
Didn't know that.
It's totally crooked and communist.
Yeah.
But it also creates an opportunity for a company like DubClub, where really sharp sports bettors are looking for a different way to monetize, because it's a huge pain in the ass to try to get down enough action to where you can actually generate a livable income off your sports betting. Like the really serious old school people who did this for a living, just betting on sports, you have to have accounts at 70 different books. You have to pay people to create their own accounts. It's pretty much not allowed or legal, but it's the only way to get your action down. So that's another kind of like happy side effect of DubClub, is you can build a really awesome, life-changing business without having to like bet 10 grand a game on a random Tuesday MLB game that you're really confident in. So that's the simple answer, I hope. I think the one level down is, let's use NFL Sunday as an example. The most common bet so NFL is the most popular sport by far for betting. And the most popular bet type is like betting against the spread. So the Bears are playing the Packers. The Packers are a 5-point favorite, whatever. Just use that. If Conrad's going to bet on the Packers, he has to risk $110 to win $100 back. Lewis is going to bet on the Bears. I have to bet $110 to win 100 back. In a perfect world for a casino or a sports book, it's perfectly balanced. There's $110 on the Packers. There's $110 on the Bears. No matter who wins, the casino or the sports book is making their $10 vig, basically for facilitating the transaction. One of us is going to win, the other's going to lose. So that was how do sports books work, 101 and 102.
Yeah,
How'd I do?
Beautiful. No, you crushed it. That was a masterclass. I think that totally makes sense. And I think people don't understand in betting, right? There's this hidden tax, for lack of a better word, right? So the books don't care who wins a lot of the time, right? I totally get it. And dude, so you launched DubClub. You go out. Did you start fully self-funded? Did you guys raise some money? How did you navigate that?
We did self-funding. Well, we had the really happy circumstance where none of us knew what we were doing. So we had to pay people to help, specifically on the software development side of things. So we had, like, from day one to get our first product to market, we had to hire contractors on the software side of things. It's not like there was a business guy and a technical guy like most software companies are. We had 3 business guys, none of whom had any experience actually building a tech company. So go us. But we had to put money in from day one because we needed someone who knew what they were doing on the software side of things. And vibe coding wasn't a thing when we started. So we put in, I don't know, what felt like a very material amount of money at the time, and still is a material amount of money at the time as founders, into basically just getting our initial product to market, getting our first customers, proving that there was something there. So I think between the 3 of us, we probably put like 100 grand in, something to that effect.
Flex.
And that lasted us, I don't know, 6 or 7 months or something to that effect. And by that point, we had real customers. There was real money flowing through the system. Our customers really loved us. They said great things about us. I had enough confidence to go, pass around the hat to friends and family. So we did a friends and family round the spring of 2022. And then the fall of 2022, we raised a proper seed round from institutional investors and kind of kicked off the venture treadmill portion of the company.
Yeah. And have you raised any more money since?
We raised a Series A in May of 2024. And that's the most recent funding round. We did about $3 million on the seed and $7.5 million on the Series A. And that's
awesome.
all.
And
that's
so
all publicly available.
Nice. Public knowledge. We'll cut it anyways. So you work with Andrew Dashbaugh, Ryan Gartner, 2 Stanford legends. Ryan played football with us. Dash played baseball. They say on paper, I think it's Stanford Business School 101, don't work with your friends or family. You did not do that.
I'm a rule breaker, Conrad.
Hey, I love it, man. Rules are meant to be broken. But how's that been? I started LifeSpark with my cousin, and it's been awesome.
Yeah. When did you start the company officially?
We officially started the company a year ago.
Yeah. So you got like 3 more years, and then we'll chat. We'll see if it's still awesome.
Yeah, we have 3 more years, and then we'll circle back. Yeah, man, how's it been? Ryan's one of my best friends. Dash is a great guy. We drank a couple of beers when he was in New York. That's all I got.
It's great. It's got its pros and its cons. I understand why the Stanford GSB says don't do this. I also, a lot of people in my family have worked with family. My parents met at work. My fiance's parents both work at family businesses. So I get, I've seen the horror stories. I think Friends is a little different. Probably a lot different, honestly.
Yeah.
But with that being said, there's pros and the cons. I think the pros is the trust is hard to replicate, right? I think the hardest part about starting a company and growing the company is most people just don't care at all. And it's really hard to hire well and build a team. It just is, especially for first-time founders that don't have a ton of experience interviewing or being around great people at tech companies. So when you work with people and you've kind of battle tested, like the work ethic is there and they're not going to disappear one day, that's a huge piece of the puzzle to like take that risk off the table. And then I think the downside is it just gets messy because building a company is super hard, and you have to have those hard conversations with people you know outside of a work context, people that you like outside of a work context. So that makes it challenging. But I don't know if it's more challenging or less challenging because you know people personally.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That was a rambling answer.
No, dude, that was a good answer. And I think you're right, because if it's just a co-founder that you work with, you're not afraid to hurt your personal relationship because there isn't a personal relationship. Versus if I was to say to, someone I worked with, hey, you need to fucking work harder. It's hard to say that to your friend.
Yes. And that's, I think,
I'm not
part of the
saying
reason why it's
co-founders
worked
aren't working hard
with Ryan and Dash is because they do have like insanely good work ethics.
For sure.
Both
And
of them.
I know that. I'm not questioning it. But dude, speaking of just growth, and so LifeSpark, like there's just
let's get
one
some
thing that I've learned
LifeSpark
is
plug going.
Well, dude,
come on.
The one thing
I
I've
want to
learned
get
is
caught up to
everything,
speed.
Lewis, everything takes 3 times as long and costs 3 times as much money as you think it's going to be. I thought raising money was going to be easy, and it's been harder than I thought. We have raised money, but it's tough, and there's been challenges. Like, we scaled up really quickly, so we do men's at-home fertility testing and men's prenatals. Fun fact, we're expanding into just longevity and overall wellness. We're launching this new thing in May, which I'll send to you. It's going to be really exciting. Anyways, like one day, Shopify just did a random scan of our store. We had just launched. We got up to 100 subscribers, and they just kicked us off their payment platform.
Why?
And
because
they said we went against their terms and conditions for no reason. And I appealed it. I messaged people on LinkedIn who were mutuals and said, hey, can you run this up the flagpole? Nope. Just gone.
Yeah. Insane.
And so we just lost everyone, and we spent a bunch of money to get those customers, right? Has anything like that happened at DubClub?
Oh, for sure. For sure. I think that the two like vendor, because that's really what they are, like a vendor or service provider, like bombs that went off for DubClub. And these are like two of the more painful crises of the past few years. Number one, we used to send notifications via text. It was a cool product experience. Conrad just posted a play, text straight to your phone. Sick. Awesome. Click a link, see the play. So similar. Twilio was the service we used to send those texts. It's a pretty large company. It's a huge public company. And one day they decided they didn't want our traffic anymore. It was too close to actual sports betting itself. They didn't want to even send notifications associated with our company. No heads up, no warning. We'd done everything in a compliant manner forever. We had a dedicated account manager to make sure we stayed compliant. It was the middle of March Madness, so like our busiest time of year from like an activity perspective. Just got an email from Twilio that said like, yeah, you guys are shut down. So that was a bad day at the office. And then the other one that affected quite a few startups I know in the spring of 2023, for some reason it's already around March Madness, St. Patrick's Day, was the Silicon Valley Bank thing, where we had all our money in Silicon Valley Bank. Thursday, rumors start flying that there's some sort of run on the bank at Silicon Valley Bank. By the time we get wise to it, because we're busy running the company, it's kind of too late. So Friday, they like shut down the bank. All of our money's in there. And we're like, oh, fuck, are we ever going to see this money again? That was a very long weekend. Nothing ended up happening in that case, but it's the kind of example, Comrade, to your point, where there's shit that's out of your control, or at least stuff that's not really on your radar as a risk, that can end up completely, if not torpedoing the business, taking a ton of your time, energy, emotional capital to solve that problem. And it's like, this was not even on my bingo card at all, that Twilio was going to shut us off, or that SVB was going to maybe burn all our money. So I think those are two poignant examples.
Yeah. No, that totally makes sense, man. It's not in your control. Like in our case, we switched to Stripe payments. I texted, emailed, called all of our subscribers over a week, and no one renewed because they thought it was either spam or a scam, and it's just hard. It's hard to get customers. You get it. And speaking of getting customers, growth. How do you guys think about growth What channels are you in? Are you doing paid ads? How do you get the name out there?
We don't do paid ads. The great thing about our customer base is they're all influencers, right? They all have big social media followings. They all kind of know each other because it's a very community-oriented world where top cappers kind of share ideas, collab all the time. So the number one growth lever for us has just been delivering awesome outcomes for the people we work with and having them sling their DubClub links left and right. And those wins be getting additional wins. It's like, oh, I know the DubClub team. You guys work with person X. They say you guys are awesome. Your product seems cool. So that's been the number one flywheel since we started, is just delivering great results for the people we do work with. They're all super public and visible, and leveraging those success stories into the next win and the next success story.
Absolutely. And I know you started to build an audience yourself with the Daily Digest.
I know. I got to get back.
Yeah. What's going on there? I mean, can you explain to our large audience what that is, and why did you start doing that?
So hello, large audience.
Hi.
The Daily Digest. So all of our customers are content creators at the end of the day. Maybe not as good as you, Conrad, but they do something. People pay them for their access to their brain and their advice, basically. And a huge piece of that funnel is building credibility on social media, showing up every day, and creating what's called a parasocial relationship with their audience. Parasocial relationship is someone that's never met you feels like you're their buddy. And that is like the gold standard of the creator economy. If you can create that sort of parasocial relationship, you can make a bunch of money on the internet. And there's really two keys to building an effective parasocial relationship. It's number one, you got to show up every fucking day, consistency. And number two is you got to be authentic, whether that's the authentic actual you or some brand that you stick to and are authentic to consistently. So for me, I took it as a challenge. It was like spring of 2024. I was moving into a new role in the company that was like very customer success oriented. I wanted to just try my hand. It's like I'm telling people all day, every day, you got to have a coherent content strategy and get on camera every day. I see the market going towards face on camera as opposed to faceless content. So I said, why don't I just do it myself? So I created a series on Instagram. If you look at my Instagram feed, it's just my face everywhere. And it's just 60 seconds. One thing I learned as an entrepreneur, one thing I like as a Chicago sports fan, really just a sports fan and a Chicagoan, and one partner that was inspiring me. Because I think those three things really resonate with our customers. They're all entrepreneurs. They're all sports fans, maybe not all Chicagoans. And then they like getting shout outs. They like hearing about who's on my mind. So it was a fun program. I think I need to bring it back. I don't know why I stopped, lost the mojo. It's what a lot of creators end up losing, the mojo. But it was a lot of fun. I learned a lot and hopefully develop some more empathy for the people we serve. And hopefully and I do know they love getting the shout outs because I get a lot of texts after I post on Instagram. Love the shout out. So that's the Daily Digest.
I love it. I like and comment everything that you post.
I'm bringing it back
posts
as a result of this podcast.
I think you have to. And Lewis, I could not agree more. I, in starting LifeSpark, wanted to try to build an organic audience because I think there's no substitute for it. And I did a 30-day TikTok challenge where I said, I'm going to post every day for 30 days. And the things I learned, one, it's incredibly hard. I love that you have a system. I tried to do your system, by the way. I copied it and just couldn't do it.
It's hard.
So that goes back to authentic.
And like, what do I do when the Cubs season's over and I'm not a huge Bulls fan? I was like, I started getting into food instead of sports. Like, it's hard.
It's so hard to make content, dude. But I think being authentic, and it's fun in the beginning where it's like, oh, I'm getting views and clicks and a little bit of dopamine from it. And that definitely does wane.
For sure.
And then, at least on my end, I would get like pretty mean and weird messages for no reason.
Really?
And it's just, you got to kind of just be like, oh, yeah.
I never dealt with that because I was on Instagram. I think Instagram tends to be a little bit more, and that's part of the reason why it's hard to go viral. It doesn't show up on random people's pages. TikTok,
Right.
it's everywhere. And
TikTok,
you've
you're
gone
in the
viral.
wild.
You've hacked it a little bit. So I'm not shocked that you're getting a little bit of hate because they don't boo nobodies, Conrad.
Hey, I appreciate that, man in the arena. On TikTok, literally, the way you go viral, it's so simple. Just post something that has two sides. And as soon as you get people arguing with each other in the comments,
Viral.
it's gone. It's gone. It's viral.
Yeah.
That's it. So
That's
just
a good
say, like,
example of a
I
good
hate X
content
political person.
strategy. So when you do the next challenge, the theme or the daily digest equivalent should be like controversial take of the day.
That's it. I'm ready.
Yeah,
it down.
like cheese is bad. What do you think? Comment section.
What do you think, idiot? Comment section. And then like, you're an idiot.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good.
Severance is
I'm
trash. You keep it, on brand with LifeSpark in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah. I've started controversial take of the day. I was also thought of a theme where I'm going to do, it was, reason number one why I love women, and then say something kind of funny, like, oh, they, only drink espresso martini. I don't know, something, or like wear dresses when it's 2 degrees out, and then just have people attack me.
Yeah.
Basically, you just need to get attacked and then you get to go viral.
That's
Just need to sell your soul.
yeah. As long as you've got good pain tolerance, you can be a superstar.
Totally. And so speaking of content, dude, the pod.
Yeah.
I know Gart's on the pod. I saw you and Dash and Gart on the pod. How did that come about? How's it going? You're a pod guy, dude. And we need to bring back your OG pod. The first podcast I ever went was in your dorm room at Stanford.
That is a great fun fact. That was not on my radar coming into this pod. It's 100% true. It's another thing. That's another thing. If you're thinking about doing content, even if it flames out, it's a great educational experience. I did 112 episodes of the general admission.
Really?
Oh, yeah. And I edited them all. I did it. They were like 60 minutes a pop. I did all the editing. I did all the scheduling. I had my 2 buddies from high school show up to most of them. It was all about Cubs baseball. When we were in our heyday, we would do like 2 a week during the season, and nobody listened, really. But got some amazing guests. It's like a fun fact. It's an amazing way to practice public speaking, forming coherent thoughts, conversing with people overall. So here's another plug for doing content. It's just it's hard to do. It creates a lot of skills for you, even if the thing doesn't do what you want it to. Here's a fun fact about General Admission Podcast. I don't even think it's anywhere, so I can't really plug it.
I just Googled it. I can't find it, dude.
It's like in the dark web somewhere.
Yeah.
So we had kind of wound it down. It was post-grad. It was really a college thing. 2 of my buddies. Again, it was like a way to hang out and talk about the Cubs with my buddies. Spring of 2020, the Cubs play-by-play and color guy from TV, Len Casper and Jim DeShays at the time, they came out with a Cubs podcast called General Admission. So we got like all our buddies and friends and family to like comment on the announcement tweet saying like, this is bullshit. You stole the title from the greatest Cubs podcast of all time. Try to like gin up a PR crisis for this poor person at the Cubs media relations team who came up with this audience or the title picked it out of a hat. And we were like, oh, this is great. We're going to get them to offer to throw out the first pitch. We're going to get season's tickets. So we ended up actually meeting with some of the higher ups on the Cubs PR team because we made such a campaign and fit out of it. My buddy like wore a suit to this Skype meeting. The woman like his camera off. We were like all ready. We asked the dad who's a lawyer, like, how do we turn this into something good for us? How do we get bought out? They're like, yeah, we'll change the name. Sorry. But the fun thing out of it, we got to interview the Cubs play-by-play announcer, who was like the nicest guy ever, Len Casper. He came on the podcast as a sorry for stealing the name of our podcast and was totally gracious and nice, even though we were super rude and trying to bully them into giving us gifts for stealing our name.
Did you guys have the name trademarked?
No.
Yeah.
We didn't get
Dude,
far down the
trademarking
road.
is such a pain in the butt. We're doing it right now for LifeSpark. It's so
What's painful about it?
Just going through the process. I'll tell you what's actually painful about it. It's when you're a lean startup, so you don't want to pay for a lawyer to do it.
Yeah.
So ChatGPT and Conrad do it.
Have you gotten it done? It's also very time intensive, right? We're trying to trademark something right now, and we are paying a lawyer, and lawyers are very expensive, but they're
Very
like,
expensive.
check back in 6 months or 12 months.
Yeah. Well, because when you do a trademark, it only becomes pending, and then you don't even know if you get it for a year.
Yeah.
And so, of course, in that year, you're going to launch the product, obviously, right? So that's
Why
been
does
a
it take
huge
so
problem. I mean, that's what Doge is
I was
investigating.
going to say, sounds like Elon needs to get on the case.
Yeah. I mean, there's literally no reason for it to take that long, but we're figuring out. So DubClub,
Yeah.
I love the name. How did it come about, and who designed your logo? It's pretty sweet.
The name, another Chicago sports thing. When the Bears were good that one season, after the games, they would go back to the locker room and they would call it Club Dub. It was like a thing. They'd get strobe lights, they'd get disco balls, they'd play house music, and it would be a Club Dub atmosphere in the locker room. I thought that was cool. You can't steal it word for word. That's a trademark infringement, obviously. And I also thought DubClub sounded better. Dub, win, club, place, DubClub, place where you win more together with your favorite capper, favorite DubClub CEO partner. So the name was actually my idea, probably my biggest contribution to DubClub. The logo, I hope Lane Veach is listening to this podcast. I know he's a subscriber.
He is. Avid listener.
Okay, here's another funny story. Lane Veach made the logo for the General Admission podcast because he's a talented graphic designer. And I said, hey, I'm doing a podcast with a few friends. Will you make a logo for $20? And he did. And it was awesome. We got a bunch of t-shirts. And when we were still thinking about DubClub, I kind of did the same message, but virtually this time. And he made us a sweet logo. And the rest is history.
So pure.
Shout out Lane
I love
Veach.
it, man.
Great guy.
Shout out Lane Veach. Lane Veach played football with us at Stanford for
next podcast guest, potentially.
Listeners. Dude, yeah, we'll have him shove his other logos. Dude, so the girl who walks around on Twitter filming herself and gives sports bets.
Walking bets. Yeah.
Will you introduce me to her?
Sure. I don't know her, but I will put you guys in a group DM on Twitter if I can.
Yeah, that'd be great. I really like her picks.
I think you probably have more street cred than I do as founder and CEO of Likespark.
Is she a DubClub subscriber?
No,
not
that I know of. She's not a content creator with us either. We've been chasing her down forever. I think she's a little too Hollywood for us right now.
What % of your users or creators are women?
It's not a huge percentage. It's non-zero. It's definitely a male-dominated industry. So any ladies that are listening that are looking to disrupt and take market share in a predominantly male-dominated industry, DubClub could be your great opportunity. But yeah, we have a number of successful women sellers, but I think we have a lot of women subscribers, and I wish that there were more. Basically, there's a real imbalance.
Yeah.
The percentage of male content creators is way higher than the percentage of male subscribers, because a lot of women are getting into, especially as sports betting's become legalized. It's like a great hobby, pastime, where you can kind of have skin in the game, watching TV. And a capper is a great way for you to do that and not lose a bunch of money, because you're doing it with someone that has experience, that has a system that can kind of teach you along the way.
100%. My future daughter, instead of having her play golf, I'm just going to have her be a capper.
I think that's a better return on invested capital for sure. Golf's expensive.
100%. Dude, so what's next for DubClub? You guys are expanding, building an audience. You guys have a really cool model where you don't have to pay for your users, basically. I think that's really the sweet spot. That's something that's tough on any consumer biz, right?
Yes.
Is your CAC.
Yes. That is the beauty of the business model and the strategy. In terms of what's next, taking over the world. Maybe the next great DubClub CEO partner is listening to this podcast right now, thinking about, I'm going to get into the game. Because truly,
100%.
Conrad, I think the market is growing super fast. It's becoming kind of a cool thing to do. Like, a lot of our top sellers are very young people who never got a real job because they figured out how to build a sick business online doing this. So I think that trend's going to accelerate, and we just got to be the home where all of them want to build these cool businesses so they don't have to go work at McKinsey or Rothschild. They can just build a badass business working for themselves, watching sports all day, posting TikToks. I mean, who doesn't want to sign up? It's the new American dream.
Yeah. And no clout to your competitors, but how do we destroy them? We don't even need to name them. If they're even our competitors.
I would not give them free ad on
no
this
way
esteemed program.
No free press.
I think why we win, why people like working with us, they make more money with us. That's a big thing. It's a very money-motivated customer base, obviously. Why do they make more money with us? We're just focused on sports betting content creators. So that shows up everywhere. It shows up in the product we built, shows up in the consumers in our network, on our mailing list that visit our website, the way we help accounts grow, because we know what the best practices are. We know the content strategy that works, the monetization strategy that works. You get access to showing up on a daily digest every now and again from me, which is a huge tailwind for your business. It's just easier to be better if you're focused and you're hands-on, and we're both. So that's the number one reason, and that's not going to change.
100%. I love that. And transitioning here a little bit,
Please.
you're engaged.
I am.
Shout out Reese. She's awesome. I met her on a ski trip.
Yes, a great trip.
Very fun. A very small house. Kidding. And dude, can you share your proposal story or anything you want to share?
It was
there
right
for
here.
the fans.
It's at our house.
No way.
Look, we got the fireplace going and everything.
That's
Look
a
at
great
that.
place
In
to
my
propose.
house, it says King of the Gamblers. I mean, if that guy is not built to create DubClub, I don't know who is.
That's
She
awesome.
wanted it to be
At
at
the end
home.
of
She wanted it to be private.
Yep.
She knew I was going to do it because I wore a sport coat to dinner, which I never do. And I made a dinner reservation, which I never do. And it was at 6 p.m., which is kind of early for us. So it was one of those where, like, I think she knew it was going to happen, which was probably good. But we went to dinner at 6. My parents and her parents came in the back door right after we left, decked out the apartment with flowers, with balloons, with candles, let the photographer in. And then when we got back from dinner, I got down on a knee and said, "Would you marry me?" And she said yes.
Boom. Can you share your speech with us?
From
you told her?
my proposal or from the wedding?
Just give us the whole speech.
I actually will. And it was what I just said. It was, "Will you marry me?" It's pretty short and sweet.
It's direct.
You know, sometimes it's just land the plane.
Yeah, you got to go for it. And so your wedding's coming up this summer in Chicago.
Yes.
How's that been? Is Reese just taking the lead?
Yeah, I'm not doing anything. And she'll probably listen to this and confirm after the fact. But she's very organized. She's very good at logistics.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think she's enjoying it necessarily, but it's getting done. And I certainly wouldn't be helpful if I tried to help. So I've stayed away.
Yeah. No, I get it. Dude, okay, moving on. We're going to go to the speed round.
Let's go.
I ask you a question. You try to answer with one word or short phrase.
This is dangerous.
Favorite Chicago restaurant?
Volare. Went on my proposal
Chicago's...
night.
Ooh, nice.
That's
Shut up,
more than one
proposal.
word, but I think it was
No, you did
worth
great.
an epilogue.
Deep dish or New York style?
New York style. But thin crust Chicago style is the best.
Ooh, okay. Love that. Best book you've ever read, if you've ever read a book?
Wow, I'm really stumped on that one.
Dude, I'm going to be honest.
The first
if
thing
someone
that came
asked
to
me
my
this
mind,
question,
Conrad, was the Bible, and I've never read the Bible cover to cover. So
if someone asked me this question live on a podcast, I do not know what I'd say. I'd be like,
let's
how
go
to
with
win
Moby
friends
Dick.
and
I
influence
love
people.
that book, Moby Dick.
Great book.
Call me
Great book.
Ishmael.
Stagecoach or Coachella?
Never been to Coachella. Stagecoach.
Wow.
In 4.
Should we go? It's in like 2 weeks.
Should we do a live
DubClub
pod?
sponsor, dude. Yeah, we'll get Gart's DubClub credit card.
Perfect
Fly down.
idea. Let's do it.
Yeah, we'll do a podcast there.
Yes, we'll do
We'll
a
fly out some
podcast
cappers, some of the influencers. Yeah, well, we'll get some of the female Coachella influencers to be cappers.
Launch the DubClub at Coachella.
Wow.
Story writes
Not
itself.
the worst idea. What was your pre-game hype song?
I actually did not a song, but the speech from Any Given Sunday that Al Pacino says in the locker room. That was really my get amped. That dates back to 7th grade. I don't know when it officially phased out, but Al Pacino, Any Given Sunday, YouTube. I'm a big YouTube
Hopefully
guy.
never. If you have a big investor meeting, just turn it on for you and Gart.
I'm really bad at speed round, by the way. I'm learning that I'm pretty
you're doing great.
verbose.
Best city you've ever been to in the world?
Chicago, for sure.
Okay, shout out Chicago. What's the number one city you want to go to that you haven't been to on Earth?
Tokyo.
Love that. So there's a Matrix. We live in the Matrix, and the software gets rewritten in our brains, and the Cubs no longer exist. Who's your baseball team?
Sox. White Sox.
Has to be, right?
I think so.
Do you hate the Sox?
No, I don't. My dad is a Sox fan. So I grew up with a fair amount of like a low-key hate, but also respect for the Sox. I like Sox Park. I'm a fan. It works.
Yeah, I like that. Coffee?
Often.
Every day?
Of course.
Yeah.
Black.
Do you do the Huberman, like wait 90 minutes after you wake up before your coffee? Or do you
not. I rip it ASAP. I'm trying to stop drinking by 2 p.m., but that's tough, I've found.
Yeah. No, I get that. What's your workout of choice now?
Racquetball? I'm getting into hoops. I'm getting into basketball. That's a lot of fun.
Nice.
I'm really bad, but I really like racquetball.
Which NBA player would you compare your basketball game to?
Draymond Green.
Smart. A favorite movie? Do you have one?
Goodfellas.
Most used app on your phone?
Twitter for sure. X, excuse me.
X, yep.
Or
Elon.
Slack, but probably X.
No, boring. What was your first job ever?
Like real job, not like lemonade stand?
I think like lemonade stand.
Well, lemonade stand. I did a lot of lemonade stands.
Okay, literally lemonade stand.
Yeah. My first job, I worked summer for a contractor doing like pouring cement and doing demos of basements.
Nice.
That would be my first like show up at a place job, but I was a big lemonade stand guy.
Love it. Hidden talent.
A really good euchre player.
I like euchre, dude.
Very fun game. Great game.
Very fun game. We'll play at your bachelor party.
Smart.
Favorite Chicago landmark?
I love the river. I don't know if that's a landmark or not, but the river doesn't get old.
One word to describe Reese, your fiance.
Angel.
Best advice you've ever received?
No one cares.
Favorite Cubs moment of your life?
2016.
Yep. Has to be.
Rays,
I was with
celebrating
you.
with Donnie Flynn and Conrad Ucapina. Game 7.
Yep. I always remember 108-year curse broken. Lewis and Conrad at Rays drinking beers.
People say that if we weren't together, the Indians probably would have won.
Yeah.
There was
a lot
something...
of people say that, and other people say the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, what's a motto you live by or DubClub lives by?
Win more together.
Perfect. Boom. Who is your founder icon? You know, who do you look up to in the founder world?
I really like the Stripe founders, the Collison brothers. You mentioned Stripe earlier. I've listened to a lot of their like content, and I think they're incredibly smart and thoughtful. Like those kinds of guys, I would work for them in a heartbeat. It's like, man, these guys seem like they are smart, thoughtful, build a great product, company, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, they just went on the All In pod, if you've seen that.
I did. I listened to that, and I was like, wow, these guys are really,
really smart.
Real deal.
Yeah, kind of reminds me of us. Gart or Dash?
Next question, but we all know the answer.
No controversy. What do you do that bothers Reese the most?
I do this thing where I'm not really paying attention, and she'll ask me a question, and I'll say, what?
Yeah.
I think that's like a male thing. We're not able to multitask. And instead of saying, hey, I'm not paying attention right now, can you give me 1 second? I just say,
what?
And she's like,
what? Yep. Would you consider yourself an above average sports bettor?
Yes, I'm profitable. That's above
average. That was my next
average.
question. What's your all-time plus minus roughly?
I'm not a huge bettor. I check this at the end of the year. So I'm up like $2,000 lifetime, and I'm like a $10 bettor. So that's pretty good.
That's really good. Then last question, man.
Better than Bitcoin.
What's next? Much better than Bitcoin. I wish I bought Bitcoin, dude. God, whatever. We'll talk about that. That'll be the next podcast, follow-up podcast. Last question. What's next for Lewis Burik? We're getting deep here. Setting our goals.
I can't do that in one word. I haven't done any of these in one word, though. This is probably the worst listening experience. You're going to really have to edit a lot if you want to
edit it. We'll edit it. We'll make it so cool.
What's next? Have fun. Do work you care about. Win.
Yeah.
That's it.
Nice.
Keep it simple.
I love it, man. Dude, thanks for coming on. Where can
What a
people find
blast.
you? Where can people find you, and where can people find DubClub?
Is our website. Follow us on X at DubClub_win, on Instagram at DubClub_win, on TikTok at DubClub_win. Follow me on X. I call it X. I'm still getting over that transition. I don't even know my handle. I believe it's Burik312, Burik 312, for some content as well.
Yeah.
I have my own Dub Club. Subscribe. It's very college football oriented, but if you like Big Ten football, I'm your guy.
I love it, man. Go Cardinal. Awesome. Lewis, thanks for coming on, brother. Appreciate your time.
You're a rock star, Conrad. Go Conrad. Go LifeSpark. Go Cubs.
Why not us? Talk to you soon.